Have you ever noticed how much time we spend worrying about things outside our control? We scroll through social media, comparing our lives to people we've never met. We stress over opinions that don't pay our bills. We get caught up in drama that has nothing to do with our purpose. But here's the truth. You can't build your life if you're busy watching someone else's. Imagine you're running a race. You don't stop to check how fast the person next to you is running. You don't turn around to see who's behind, because the moment you do, you slow down. You lose your momentum. You forget why you started in the first place. Too often we measure our lives by the progress of others. We scroll through social media, seeing people achieving things we dream about, buying homes, starting businesses, traveling the world, and we wonder, why am I not there yet? This comparison trap is dangerous because it shifts our focus outward instead of inward. When we prioritize our own growth, we stop looking at what others are doing and start focusing on how we can improve ourselves every single day. The truth is, every person has a different timeline, a different starting point, and a different destination. No two journeys are the same. If you spend all your time looking at someone else's path, you'll miss the opportunities that are right in front of you. Imagine a runner in a race. If they constantly look to the side to see how others are doing, they lose speed, stumble, and sometimes even fall. But when they focus on their own lane, they move with clarity, confidence, and direction. That's exactly how life works. The more we concentrate on our own progress, the more we grow in ways that truly matter. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to prioritize their own growth is because they tie their success to external validation. We've been conditioned to believe that success is about applause, awards, and recognition. But true growth happens when no one is watching. It's in the early mornings when you decide to read instead of scrolling. It's in the late nights when you work on your dreams instead of wasting time on distractions. It's in the moments when you choose to step out of your comfort zone, even when no one is there to cheer you on. Growth isn't about being perfect. It's about being better than you were yesterday. When you focus on your own journey, you realize that small, consistent improvements lead to massive transformations over time. Think about the power of compound interest. If you invest a small amount of money every day, over time, it grows into something significant. The same principle applies to personal growth. Every book you read, every skill you practice, every effort you make, no matter how small, adds up. The key is consistency. Another important aspect of prioritizing your own growth is understanding that setbacks are a natural part of the process. Too often, people get discouraged when they don't see immediate results. They try something new, face a challenge, and give up too soon. But growth isn't linear. It comes with ups and downs, moments of doubt, and times when you feel like nothing is working. The people who truly grow are the ones who keep going, even when it gets hard. They see failure not as a sign to stop, but as a lesson to learn. One way to stay focused on your personal growth is to set goals that align with your values. It's easy to chase goals that look good on the outside, money, status, recognition, but true fulfillment comes from goals that resonate with who you are. Ask yourself, what do I genuinely want? What makes me feel alive? What kind of person do I want to become? When you define your own path instead of following someone else's, you build a life that is meaningful and fulfilling. A practical way to measure your growth is to reflect regularly. Take time to pause and acknowledge how far you've come. Too often, we get so caught up in what's next that we forget to appreciate our progress. Keep a journal, track your small wins, and remind yourself that growth isn't about reaching a final destination. It's about evolving. At the end of the day, the most important thing you can do is trust your journey. You are exactly where you need to be. The challenges, the delays, the lessons, They're all shaping you into the person you are meant to become. When you stop worrying about how fast others are growing and focus on your own progress, you'll realize that success isn't about being ahead of anyone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Every single day, we wake up with a limited amount of energy. Think of it like a battery. Some things charge you while others drain you. The problem is, most of us are spending that energy on things that don't help us grow. We give too much attention to negativity, distractions, and drama that have nothing to do with our purpose. And at the end of the day, we wonder why we feel exhausted, unmotivated, and stuck. The truth is, where you place your attention is where your energy flows. If you keep focusing on things that don't serve you, you will never have enough energy for the things that do. Negativity is one of the biggest energy drains, and it comes in many forms. It can be toxic relationships, people who constantly complain, environments that make you feel small, or even your own negative self-talk. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents a negative thought, a toxic conversation, or an unhealthy habit. The more you carry, the heavier it gets. And the heavier it gets, the slower you move. Eventually, you're so weighed down that you can't even take a step forward. The only way to move freely is to start removing those rocks, one by one. That means letting go of people who always bring you down, shutting off conversations that drain your energy, and replacing negative self-talk with words of encouragement. Another way we waste energy is by getting caught up in distractions. Social media, unnecessary arguments, meaningless gossip. These things don't add value to our lives, yet they take up so much of our time. We live in a world where everything is fighting for our attention, and if we're not careful, we'll give it away without even realizing it. Have you ever picked up your phone just to check one message and then an hour later found yourself watching random videos that have nothing to do with your goals? That's the power of distraction. It keeps you busy but not productive. The key is to become intentional about how you spend your time. Ask yourself, does this help me grow? Does this align with my goals? Is this bringing me closer to the person I want to be? If the answer is no, it's not worth your energy. Protecting your energy also means being mindful of the people you surround yourself with. The people in your life should inspire you, challenge you, and support your growth. If you're constantly around people who complain, make excuses, or focus on negativity, it's only a matter of time before you start thinking the same way. Energy is contagious. If you want to grow, you need to surround yourself with people who encourage you, push you, and remind you of your potential. That doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life, but it does mean setting boundaries. And you can love people from a distance while protecting your own peace. One of the most important aspects of protecting your energy is learning to say no. Many of us struggle with this because we don't want to disappoint people. We say yes to things we don't want to do just to please others. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying no to something that does. Time is the most valuable thing you have. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. So be intentional with where you invest it. Saying no doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you respect yourself enough to prioritize what truly matters. Your mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of negativity, fear, and doubt, that's what will grow. But if you plant seeds of positivity, growth, and purpose, you will create a life filled with abundance. Every day you have a choice. You can let distractions, negativity, and toxic energy take over, or you can choose to protect your peace. Focus on what fuels you and build a life that aligns with your highest self. The choice is yours. One of the biggest reasons people don't move forward in life is because they believe they're not ready. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect version of themselves before they take action. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion. If you keep waiting for everything to be just right, you'll be waiting forever. Growth doesn't come from waiting, it comes from doing. The people who succeed aren't the ones who have everything figured out. They're the ones who start, even when they're uncertain, even when they're afraid, even when they feel unprepared. Think about a child learning to walk. They don't wait until they fully understand balance before they take their first step. They try, they fall, they get back up, and they keep going. And over time, they learn. But imagine if a child refused to take that first step because they were afraid of falling, they would never walk. That's exactly what happens when we wait for perfection. We hold ourselves back from learning, growing, and becoming who we're meant to be. The fear of making mistakes keeps many people stuck. But what we often forget is that mistakes are part of the process. Every expert was once a beginner. Every successful person has a history of failures. The difference is they didn't let those failures stop them. They saw them as lessons, as stepping stones to something greater. If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying anything new. And if you're not trying anything new, you're not growing. Instead of fearing failure, start embracing it. Each mistake teaches you something valuable. Each setback prepares you for the next step. The only real failure is refusing to try. Another reason people hesitate to take action is because they compare themselves to others. They look at someone who is already successful and think, I could never do that. But what they don't see is the years of effort, struggle, and persistence that went into that success. No one starts at the top. Everyone has to go through their own journey. When you focus on where someone else is, you lose sight of where you're going. Instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. If you're improving, even by just 1% each day, you're on the right path. One of the most powerful ways to overcome the fear of imperfection is to break big goals into small steps. Often, people feel overwhelmed because they look at the entire journey instead of just focusing on the next step. Imagine standing at the bottom of a huge staircase and looking up. It can feel impossible to climb. But if you just focus on taking one step at a time, before you know it, you've reached the top. The same applies to any goal or dream. You don't need to have everything planned out. You just need to take the next step. It's also important to silence the inner voice that says you're not good enough. That voice is not the truth. It's just fear disguised as logic. The mind will always try to keep you in your comfort zone because it wants to protect you. But real growth happens when you step outside of that comfort zone. Every time you do something that scares you, whether it's speaking up, trying something new, or taking a risk, you expand your potential. Over time, what once seemed impossible becomes normal, and you grow into a stronger, more capable version of yourself. The key is to trust the process. No one has all the answers when they start, but clarity comes from action. The more you do, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you become. Stop waiting for perfection. Stop waiting for approval. Stop waiting for the right time. The right time is now. Take action, embrace the journey, and allow yourself to grow in ways you never imagined. Success is rarely one big moment. It's not a single breakthrough, a sudden transformation, or a grand achievement that happens overnight. Instead, success is built on small, consistent actions repeated over time. The problem is, many people overlook these small wins because they seem insignificant in the moment. They focus so much on the final result that they forget to acknowledge the progress they're making along the way. But if you learn to celebrate small wins, you'll realize that growth is happening every single day, even when it doesn't feel like it. Hey, think about how a tree grows. When you plant a seed, you don't see results immediately. You water it, give it sunlight, and trust that beneath the surface something is happening. Days go by, then weeks, And still you see nothing, but if you keep nurturing it, one day a tiny sprout appears. Over time, with continuous care, it grows into something strong and powerful. Personal growth works the same way. The progress you make today might not be visible right away, but it's happening. Every small effort, every habit, every choice you make is a step towards something bigger. One of the biggest reasons people give up on their goals is because they focus too much on how far they still have to go instead of recognizing how far they've already come. Imagine climbing a mountain. If you keep looking at the peak, it might feel overwhelming, but if you pause and turn around, you'll see the distance you've already covered. That perspective shift can make all the difference. Instead of feeling discouraged by what's left, you start feeling motivated by what you've accomplished. Small wins also help build momentum. When you recognize even the tiniest progress, it creates a sense of achievement that fuels your motivation to keep going. Think about how a snowball grows. It starts as a tiny ball, but as it rolls down the hill, it picks up more snow, gaining size and speed. Success works the same way. Each small win adds up, making the next step easier and more natural. That's why focusing on progress, no matter how small, is so powerful. It keeps you moving forward. Many people fall into the trap of thinking that if something isn't a big achievement, it doesn't matter. But the truth is, the small things you do every day shape your future far more than the big things you do once in a while. Reading one page of a book might not seem like much, but over time, it turns into knowledge. Exercising for just 10 minutes might feel insignificant, but over months, it transforms your health. Saving a little money each week might not seem like it will make a difference, but eventually it adds up. The habits you build and the choices you make daily define the life you create. Another reason small wins matter is because they help build confidence. When you accomplish something, even if it's minor, it reinforces the belief that you are capable. Confidence doesn't come from waiting to feel ready. It comes from taking action, proving to yourself that you can do it, and seeing results, even in small ways. When you celebrate small victories, you train your mind to recognize progress, which strengthens your belief in yourself and your ability to achieve bigger things. To make the most of small wins, it's important to track them. Keeping a journal, making a checklist, or simply reflecting on what you've accomplished each day can help you stay aware of your progress. Many people work hard but don't realize how much they're actually achieving because they never take a moment to acknowledge it. By keeping track of your progress, you remind yourself that even the smallest steps are moving you forward. Ultimately, life is not about one big success story. It's about the small, consistent actions that shape your journey. When you learn to celebrate the little wins, you start finding joy in the process instead of just the destination. You build confidence, momentum, and motivation. And most importantly, you realize that success isn't something you achieve someday. It's something you create every single day. In a world filled with distractions, opinions, and noise, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Every day, there are 100 things pulling you in different directions. People's expectations, societal pressures, and even your own doubts. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself living a life based on what others think you should do instead of following your own path. That's why it's so important to stay focused on your purpose and not let external noise dictate your journey. The truth is, no one else can walk your path for you. No one else knows the dreams, passions, and goals that truly align with who you are. If you spend too much time worrying about what others think, you'll end up living their version of success instead of your own. The most successful and fulfilled people in the world are the ones who tune out the noise and stay committed to their own vision, even when others don't understand it. One of the biggest distractions in life is comparison. It's natural to look at what others are doing, especially in the age of social media, where everyone seems to be achieving something incredible. But comparing your journey to someone else's is one of the fastest ways to lose focus. It creates doubt, insecurity, and the false belief that you're falling behind. The reality is, no two journeys are the same. Some people find success early in life, while others take longer to figure things out. What matters is not how quickly you reach your goals, but that you stay committed to your own path. Another major distraction is criticism. The moment you start pursuing something meaningful, you will encounter people who doubt you, question you, or try to pull you down. This happens not because you're wrong, but because people project their own fears and limitations onto others. Some people criticize because they're afraid to take risks themselves. Others do it because they don't want to see you grow beyond them. But if you let their words affect you, you'll never reach your full potential. The key is to remind yourself that opinions don't define you. Your actions do. Instead of worrying about what others think, focus on proving yourself to yourself. It's also important to avoid seeking validation from the outside world. Many people make decisions based on whether they'll get approval or recognition from others. But when you live this way, you give away control over your own happiness. True fulfillment doesn't come from applause or validation. It comes from knowing that you're living in alignment with your values, doing what you love, and making progress towards your goals. If you constantly need approval to feel successful, you'll always be chasing something external instead of finding peace within yourself. Distractions don't just come from people, they also come from within. Self-doubt, fear of failure, and negative thoughts can be just as powerful as external noise. Your mind will always try to keep you in your comfort zone because that's where it feels safe. But real growth happens when you push past those mental barriers. Every time you doubt yourself, remind yourself why you started in the first place. Every time fear tries to stop you, take action anyway. The only way to overcome self-doubt is by proving to yourself through action that you are capable. To stay focused on your purpose, it helps to have a clear vision of what you want. Define your goals, write them down, and remind yourself of them daily. When you have clarity on what you're working toward, it becomes easier to ignore distractions and stay on track. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you rather than those who drain your energy or make you question your worth. Environment plays a huge role in success, so choose to be in spaces that inspire and motivate you. Lastly, be patient with yourself. Staying focused on your purpose doesn't mean you'll never face setbacks or moments of doubt. It simply means that no matter what happens, you keep moving forward. Progress isn't always visible, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Trust your journey, block out the noise, and keep working toward the life you truly want.